Good afternoon, everyone. And if for those of us here at Bounce Innovation Hub, if you're eating today, please grab your food, grab a plate, and grab a seat. And hello to everyone out there joining us via Zoom. Today is Tuesday. It's June the 21st. And it is the year 2022, and we've got a wonderful program today. We're actually going to be hearing from one of our own in about 30 minutes. But to get us started, I would like to invite Doug Cole up to lead us in the invocation.
God, we are so grateful for this day, because this is a day you have made, and we should rejoice and be glad in it. Helps to do great things in the community through Rotary and through the other venues we have available to us in the community. Help us to enjoy the sunshine and welcome the rain when it does come, because they're all part of your plan for this world. Father, we ask you to keep your hand over those who are hurting, those who can't make the meeting today, and we just pray for the well-being of our city and our community. It's in your name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Doug. And now if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build friendships and will be beneficial to all concerned? Wow. All right. Well, please be seated. And boy, we do need that rain that you were praying for, Mr. Doug, because we were told yesterday we're going to get some, and it did not really come here in Akron. I think we're going to a high of 95 today, and so take the necessary precautions. But anyhow, this is my next to last meeting as president of our club, and so next week will be my closing meeting. And the year has gone fast. The year has dragged at times, but it's been a good year, and I think we've been able to make some pretty good impact here in the community. And I believe we are poised for the future for carrying on the good work that we've been doing. We have our greeter today is Mr. David Hall. So David, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Steve. So we have two guests here today. We have one of our outbound exchange students and her father, Samantha and Keith Kramer. I want to stand up and say hello. Give you a mic here. Maybe you can tell us real quick where you're going in.
Hi, I'm Sammy, and I'm going to Brazil, and I'm leaving July 20th.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Welcome to that. Then we also have guests Barbie and Don, I think it's Obermeyer. They're getting food right now, so wave in the back there. Don, do you want to say anything?
Hello, also Robert Don Obermeyer. I'm a member of the Cleveland Rotary. I'm on the board there. I live in Medina. This is my wife Barbie. I work for a company called CESO, an architecture engineering company. And Barbie is the affiliate administrator for the ACE Mentor Program of Greater Akron, Kansas.
Awesome.
Thank you and welcome. And as of right now, Steve, I think that is all our guests. Unless, wait a minute, I see Cheryl Buchanan's online with us. She's not looking as well as she usually does, but welcome to Cheryl Buchanan. Stu, I'm kidding.
That's fantastic. Thank you, David. It's good to have the Obermeyers here, and for those of us who remember Don is the brother to Michelle Wilson, and Michelle is a Rotarian and doing a lot with global ties here in our beloved city. And you throw in Barbie, and the three of them are a force to be reckoned with when it comes to community activity and serving greater Akron and Northeast Ohio. So real pleasure to have you here with us today. And for Sammy, you're in for an experience of a lifetime. And we wish you nothing but well as you go and make all these new friendships, learn more language, and then bring back your cultural experiences. And when you do come back, we'd like to have you come back to us and share a little bit about what you experienced. Can you do that? All right, wonderful, thank you. So now, I'm curious, do we happen to have in the room any Rotary ambassadors? Miss Linda.
I don't, this is like after the fact, but attending Houston Rotary International Convention was fabulous. And I think Julie and I had a great time. Unfortunately, some of us came home with something that we did not ask for. Had a little hiccup in the road, but 100% back in action, and it's exciting to be here. And all I can say is between Julie and myself, we highly recommend Australia next summer, 2023. Join us. You'll have a fabulous time.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from Julie too, because what she has to say about having been down in Texas.
Don't tell all the story.
Okay, what happens in Texas? After a whirlwind 21-hour flight attempt ×4, trying to get from Cleveland to Houston, I arrived at the International Convention. And if you want to know what an opportunity it is to meet people who love Rotary as much as you from all over the world, we became friends with people from Zimbabwe and Nigeria and Germany, and these are people we're going to see again at the next convention, and these are people we could do projects with in their country. Actually, we were approached by people from Nigeria to help them with a project for addiction. So these are opportunities to get our club on the global scene, to help people around the world. Why it's so exciting to send students to Brazil and elsewhere. So there's more to Rotary than just what we're seeing here in Akron, Ohio, just what we're seeing in our District 6630. And so I encourage you to just learn more about what's out there, and also invite you to July 6th, when we'll convene in Cuyahoga Falls at the Riverfront Pavilion and celebrate the incoming induction for David Jones, who is the district governor. And then I will be the district governor-elect at that point. Then just got to get my acronyms in order. So see you there, hopefully, and have a great meeting. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm going to go right into Happy Dollars, since you do have the microphone, unless online we have anybody else that is a Rotary ambassador. Anybody seen anyone? Okay. Hello to John Daly, and thank you, Sandy Narragon, for being there. And it's been fantastic that through this year that with Sandy and with Dr. Bob and others. Go ahead, share.
He was just wondering, he heard his name, so I said they're welcoming us to Rotary. It's my first time, so it's nice being here with John. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Rob has done a fantastic job with, along with, who else has been over there? Jack has been over there, yeah, and Cindy Kane. And so what a tremendous job by club members to keep John in the loop. And it's great to have him. I think he's only been John's only been a Rotarian something like 60 or 61 years or something. So anyhow, but at this time, is anybody happy?
Steve, I'll start. I have $3 happy. First one, very happy to do the Akron Food Bank volunteer project last Wednesday. It was a great time, 4:30 to 6:30. We're going to be doing it again next month, the third Wednesday of the month. So I'll be sending something out soon for that if you'd like to sign up. We had 12 people total. We had 7 from Rotary. We had 5 from the Karpinski Engineering. And they're from the Cleveland Club, but the Akron office decided to come help with us. So that's great that they do that. But and we had a wonderful time, meal down at Lot 15 again. So supporting Doug's grandkids. Then $2 happy just because Father's Day was wonderful. I got to sit in my backyard, do nothing, burn my face, and have a good time. And just the $3 is happy because my kids are all healthy and happy. So who else is happy? Yeah, right here.
I got 2 happy dollars. Thanks for a wonderful job, Steve, and I look forward to Linda in a couple of weeks. So this is, we'll have to talk about this more next week, but I just thought I'd mention it this week.
Thank you. Mario, were you happy?
I am happy. I'm here. It's been a while. Hello, everyone. Things have just been crazy. The business has been good. We actually moved into our first official office space in Highland Square, so that's exciting. I got accepted into the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which is a 3-month program that teaches businesses how to grow and just work through a lot of business end of things. But I have homework again, and I have not had homework in quite some time, believe it or not. That's right. I had Doug as a professor. He knows me very well. And it's great, you know, the house, we're getting along in the house. We've been married almost a year, so I'm very happy for all that. And things have just been good. I actually came back from Louisville, Kentucky this past weekend, and it was a much needed trip. First one I've taken, I think, in 10 months. So it was much needed. So I'm happy to be here. Happy to see you all.
Thank you, Mario. Gina.
Good afternoon. So I can't just give $1 because this is just a really important day. 14 years ago today, I took on the most awesome role I have ever and probably will ever hold in my life. My wonderful Abigail Elizabeth made me agree.
Aww.
That's fantastic. All right, who else is happy here? Susan?
Yes, I have 5 happy dollars, and I'm going to start with the first one is because I get to teach you what outbound means for exchange students, and that is having Samantha here and going outbound in July. So I'm going to give this to her to say a few words simply because she is got a special jacket on. And if you notice, that jacket is decorated. She also has been in contact with the family she's going to visit down there. And I'd like you just to hear just a few words about, you know, all of that. So.
Well, I'm going to Brazil in a few weeks now, and all these pins are about Rotary, which is different. I have family in Rotary and friends in Rotary, and I give the pins and share a lot of stories about Rotary and what they've done, and I'm just really excited to have this opportunity. I thank all of you guys for giving it to me. I'm going to Londrina, Brazil, which is the southern part of Brazil.
And so you learn outbound. Keith, you want to stand up? Because you've got another vocabulary word, and that's inbound. Keith and his wife and son are going to be hosting our Yara Martin Salas, who is going to be arriving then sometime in August. We'll talk about that. The Yara's coming from Barcelona, Spain, and she will be inbound. So we have the outbounder and the inbounder. So thank you, Keith. And we're so grateful for your family's involvement in this. And then we have what we call a short term. So July 12th, we're going to have our short term student who was visiting from Belgium will be here with her host family. And so those are the three. The fourth one, the fourth dollar is because we have winners again on the Portage Lakes. We set records in Buffalo this weekend. Our team took not only first place, but second place among 6 other breast cancer survivor teams. So I'm really excited about that. I've got videos. Go on my web page or my Facebook page, I'm sorry, and you can see all of that. But it's this time, folks. So I'm looking for somebody who's ready to get together a team for our festival, Dragons on the Lake, July 23rd. Now, Connor was here last week and he said yes. Is he on there?
Don't
But
believe
at
so.
any rate, I have the information, so just check with me and I'll sign you up. I don't think
Okay.
I'm a charity. If I keep it so far, we need more.
Hey, David, while you're making your way over there, I just want to make a comment. Last fall, some of you may remember, it was late summer, early fall, when Good Morning America was out at Portage Lakes and did a morning segment about the Dragon Boat and the cancer survivors. And that was an awesome experience. And so this work that you're doing is fabulous. And let's continue to pray that we come up with an answer to breast cancer, because it's ravaged so many lives. And I think we're well on our way. So thank you for all that you're doing there, Susan.
Yes, Susan, thank you. I don't know, Brian, if you're leading this charge or not, but all right, yeah, my wife and I are both in for that as well, so. Okay, very good. And as far as Rotary exchange students, I just want to say, 40 years ago, my family hosted an exchange student from Finland. Still keep in contact with them. It was a great experience. And I had a fantastic friend my junior year who was from Brazil. We played soccer together at high school. So you should have a fantastic experience. It was a lot of fun having someone host it.
And so my happy buck is come 10 years. So 35 years ago in 1987, I was an exchange student in Wales, England.
Oh, wow.
So soak it in, just do everything you could possibly think you could do. It really is an amazing experience. It's scary to me to think that it's been 35 years. But that's a whole other thing. My niece before me, I was in college 30 years ago too. So anyways, it is really just have an awesome time. Just congratulations.
Absolutely. Anybody else happy? Malcolm.
Good afternoon. Very delighted to be here. I have 4 happy dollars because I was locked down in Jamaica last week, and it was a 5-day trip, and it ended up being there 2 days later because of some of the complications related to the airline. So I'm really happy to be here, and happy to be especially because of Karen, even though I have a board meeting to chair, explain that to her. So that's it. Thanks for everyone.
Thank you, Malcolm. Could be worse places to be locked up. You're right, 2 days a week is not bad. Anybody else happy? President Steve.
Yes, I have 3 happy dollars. And dollar number 1 for having Don and Barbie here. And is it true that you are looking to become part of this club? There was talk of that.
My membership, I'm not sure when it comes out. Cleveland.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to having you here as part of the team. So that's dollar number 1. Dollar number 2 is I want to thank Linda Farkas. I hope you didn't have a 21-hour trip, did you?
No, thank God, no.
Okay.
We gave her that.
Yeah. But I want to thank Linda. She brought me this little pin that says Rotary on one side and has the Ukrainian flag on the other. And that's something very dear to my heart because of my family's connection. So thank you. And my last happy dollar is for today's speaker. And I'm going to invite her to make her way up here if she can. It's for Karen Hrdlicka, who is one of our own. And let me just say a few things about Karen. She had written up a very brief little bio. And she says, in addition to being a Rotarian, she's also the director of the Center for Family Philanthropy at the Akron Community Foundation. Part of her job is to provide public education on philanthropic topics to encourage everyone in our community to give their 4 T's, the letter T's, to issues and nonprofits in our community. Yes, each of us has 4 T's as well. And today she's going to help us identify what they are so that we can make a plan to impact our community in greater measure. So it's a joy to have you, and come on up. And, you know, since Karen's been part of the club and having had the opportunity to get to know her, she really is an amazing individual. It's like every event that I go to, which is an extension of what we're looking to do as a club, she's always there. And then I'll see on Facebook all these other events. And like Julie Brandel, I don't know how you ladies do it. Do you sleep?
Sometimes.
Okay, sometimes. But it's a real joy to have you here with us, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us. So all yours, my dear.
Thank you.
Such kind words. Thank you guys so much. I'm excited to be here and share with everyone, because when I started my journey with Rotary, I was doing something different. I was working in older adult services, and God brought me in a different path. And the Akron Community Foundation, I've been a grantee of them for years, and to have the opportunity. So some of you guys may know, it's a little bit of a misnomer. The Akron Community Foundation actually serves all of Summit and Medina County. And it was started by a $1 million grant from Edwin Shaw back in 1955. And currently we have about $300 million in assets, and that's made up of money that people have donated, investments we've made, agency endowments, and donor advised fund holders. And donor advised fund holders are individuals that have started a fund. They are handed down from generation to generation, which is where I come in and working with families to do that handoff. And they give out more money actually than we give out in our grant cycles on a regular basis. But last year, in the middle of the pandemic, when nonprofits really needed it, we hit a milestone that we're very proud of. We hit $200 million over the life of the Community Foundation that have been given back to our community. So, yeah. So it's cool to be on staff when that happens. And maybe this will go. Oh, there we go. So I said a community foundation is really dedicated, and I think I've learned a lot being a grantee and then moving to working for the community foundation. The community foundation is really about the health of the nonprofit community in our community. So you think about like we're kind of like the Chamber of Commerce for nonprofits. So in 2018, the Community Foundation made a decision to open something called the Center for Family Philanthropy, and it is an actual place. They did a construction and built it, but it's really meant to be a place that we pass on and keep the history of a community foundation. There are about 170 community foundations in the United States. We were only the 20th to open a Center for Family Philanthropy. So they're ahead of their time and moving forward, and it's exciting to be part of that. There's 4 pillars of service that the center is meant to do. I kind of talked about the donor advised fund holders, the fact that families, so that can look, I had a gentleman who was retiring, and he really all of a sudden has time. So he came in, he's a fund holder, and he said, I don't really want to know where I want to give my money to, but I know it wants to be something I'm involved in. So he and I went through his values. We figured out what he was passionate about. I introduced him to nonprofits, and basically now he's volunteering for those organizations, and his treasure will follow. All the way to a family that I have that has family members, 3 generations. The whole idea is to teach up the grandchildren, who every year they pick a different theme, and they explore nonprofits, and the grandchildren give reports and decide on grant making on an annual basis. So those are kind of the things that I do for donor advised fund holders. I do the same thing for private family foundations, because if you think about it, there's over 200 private family foundations in Summit and Medina counties. But if you're not above $4 million, you really don't have the capacity to have a staff member. So we kind of act as the backroom philanthropic office and help those private family foundations give money out to our community. Legacy, many of you guys know about our Polsky awards that we give every year to the most philanthropic person in, or the most philanthropic people in our community. But it's really important to the community foundation to keep the legacies of a lot of other people in our community that are giving back day to day on a regular basis, and consistently from generation to generation. So we're now thinking about strategically keeping those legacies. And then education. I get to go out and talk to people and encourage people to become more philanthropic. And this is all done through the lens of something called 2164, is where I'm certified through. And 2164 is an organization that trains philanthropic advisors with the idea that people come into their own at the age of 21, and they're thinking about their legacy at the age of 64. So it is truly a science in how to give away and be part of our community in a philanthropic way. But today I'm here to talk about philanthropy and Rotary. Philanthropy simply means the love of mankind. What is Rotary about? Basically, the love of when Paul Harris started it in February of 1905, he really wanted to bring these professionals and their backgrounds so they could exchange ideas and form meaningful lifelong relationships. And over time, it really gradually extended to humanitarian services. And we really, as Rotarians, have a long track record of addressing challenges in our communities. So Rotary was started for the love of mankind. And I just think it is so cool. So as I'm going to bring up the 4 T's of philanthropy that I'm going to talk about today. But in that, and Steve talked about the things that I go to, I had the honor of going last week to the Women's History Project. And one of the honorees, if you guys don't know, was our own Virginia Wino Forney, and she has been, she got the Imagination Award, which I think Jeannie's on the line. She said she couldn't be here today, but she was going to be online. But I wanted to share with you guys, and as I talk about the 4 T's, I think the thing that when I read this about Ginny is that I was amazed, because I think without her even intentionally, she has incorporated the 4 T's into her love and passion of keeping history and being a preservationist. So she said she lives by a simple motto: you change where you live. A good thing she moved to Akron. That attitude meant that a number of historic locations around town would be saved for future generations. You only needed to meander around the Mustel store, or stroll on the trail along the Ohio and Erie Canal, or wander along the South Howard Street corridor to see that Virginia and her fanatic preservationists have accomplished. Virginia is a woman small in stature, but big in imagination and determination. Where others saw an overgrown, trashy urban jungle, she saw a park where Akron residents could discover their history. Born in New York City, Virginia moved to Akron after her marriage to Walter Wino, a World War II vet she met while attending Kent State University. Goodrich gave him a job in advertising, and Virginia became part of Akron's preservation history. In 1951, Virginia came face to face with her first real hands-on experience with preservation when the couple moved into the Gate Lodge of the Auld Farm. Virginia was pregnant with daughter Geraldine at the time. Her neighbors were two straggly looking bears at the zoo. She's been a friend of the zoo ever since. And at the Cascade Lock Park and her subsequent work with the South Howard Street corridor, Virginia showed her true talents. She was president of Progress Through Preservation back then, an organization without much money, but lots of enthusiasm. Virginia found the group couldn't afford to buy a muscle store in their property, but Virginia saw potential of the canal era provision store and the remains of the canal locks that flowed through an overgrown, trashy part of the city as the ideal place to tell the story of Akron's history. Working in collaboration with the GAR Foundation, city institutions, fanatic volunteers, and the city, Virginia was able to transform a part of Akron where no one felt safe and make it one of the jewels of the city. Cascade Locks Park remains a heritage park for Akron's future. The South Howard Street corridor, likewise, is a testament to the city's jazz past. Denise Lundell, who nominated her godmother for this award, thinks Virginia deserves recognition for all her work. The Women's History Project thinks so too. So can we give Ginny a round of applause for her recognition? I was so proud as Rotarian sitting there and seeing her get that award and just learning more about her. But I think it's all of our hearts is the fact that that we want to give back to our communities. And the idea of the 4 Ts is just a way to do that intentionally. Each of us have resources to make a difference in our world. And at different points in our life, it may be that, time of volunteering may be something, if you've got a senior in high school, it may be a time that you have to be smaller in that area. But maybe your ties, because you know a lot of people there, that you're bringing people to a fundraiser for a nonprofit you love and things like that. So it's really important for us to be, if we want to really make a difference in our community, to be intentional and think about our 4 Ts on an annual basis, just like we think about our budgets. So let's talk about time. When I say time, we talk about volunteer service. When you guys volunteer, a study was done by the Volunteer Hub. What do you think the value of every hour you give back to a nonprofit is? Somebody throw out a guess. How dollar value? What's your dollar value? 20 bucks, okay. As a former leader of a nonprofit, I would have said 100. Absolutely. So the closest was 20. So $28.54 an hour is when you volunteer your time. When you give an hour to a nonprofit, that's what it means back to that nonprofit. And when you think about that, with the number of people that volunteer in the United States on an annual basis, that's $184 billion. That just giving your time and volunteering to an organization gives back. But volunteerism, not only is it good for the nonprofit, but did you know that it's also good for you? The Cleveland Clinic did a study that talked about there's cardiovascular benefits, there's emotional benefits, that we are actually are strengthening our body, improving our mood, and lessening stress physically when we volunteer. 96% of volunteers reported the action enrich their sense of purpose in life. So that's a pretty big thing. So if you're not volunteering and you want to be healthier and you're not good at getting up and going to the gym, think about volunteering. And 60% of hiring managers see the act of volunteerism as a valuable asset. So if you're an equal candidate with another candidate, like you check all the boxes, a HR manager, 60% of HR managers are going to pick you over the other person if you have volunteer experience on your resume. What do you think the percentage of people over 18 in the state of Ohio are that volunteer? 15? One? Oh, I was like, wow, that's a real pessimist, 1%. So we're actually at 33.2%. But just think about if you got some of your friends to come volunteer, invited people along, think about a difference we can make. If we could move that 33 to 45, and that's why I'm out here talking to people, encouraging people to give their time, treasure, talent, and ties, because that is what a difference we can make if we just got a few more people to volunteer. All right, I'm going to give it away. Surprisingly, what you think is the least amount of volunteerism? What state? What state has the lowest volunteer rate?
Michigan.
Spain, not Michigan. Where do all our snowbirds go? Florida is the lowest, and that just blew me away because I thought, oh, these people, but you know, they're out down there having a good time, I guess, instead. So it's at 20, they're at 22.8%. The highest, we think the highest state is Utah. Somebody got it, 51%. So yes, so that it just kind of food for thought. That you know, really think that volunteering really makes a big difference. So when I say treasure, you know, we talk about that. What am I talking about? Money. So you know, the average donor in the US is 64 years old and makes 2 charitable gifts a year. That we got a lot of room for improvement there as far as people think. But interesting, what do you think that makes people want to donate more? People asking, yep. Engagement, yep. Knowing it. Yep. Yep, all recognition, all of those are good. But actually the largest one is a match. 84% of donors say they're more likely to donate if a match is offered, and 1 in 3 donors indicate that they'd give a larger gift if it was applied to their donation. So, you know, I'm just encouraging you guys to think outside the box. So if you have the opportunity to give a donation, to think about going to a nonprofit you care about and think about offering it as a match. You know, a lot of our donors, we say they'll offer it as a match. I mean, they're going to, nobody listen, they're going to give the donation anyways. But, you know, it is something that encourages, so it's out of the box thinking. But sadly, a lot of Fortune 500 companies give matches to their employees. So if you work for a Fortune 500 company or your children do, really talk to them, because there's about $2 to $4 billion that's given annually from match programs from companies, but $4 to $10 billion left on the table by matches that are not used by employees. So, you know, we don't always, a lot of us don't have companies that do that, so we don't think about it. So, but spread that word and encourage your friends that do have that opportunity to do that. The other thing we've been talking about a lot lately is, and maybe not now that the stock market, my financial planner fellow Rotarians probably are, but the appreciate stocks. And then those folks that are 75 and older, the IRA's required minimum distribution, if you give that and give it straight to a nonprofit, it never hits your bank account. You don't get taxed on that. So just things to think about with your financial planner. So there's a lot more to giving treasure than we think about. All right, talent. When I say talent, what's the difference between talent and time? What do you think? Skills, yeah. So sharing your talent is really about a certain skill that you have. Many nonprofits are constrained on the staff that they can afford. I know any of you that are in nonprofits here, you know, I laugh because somebody will say, well, I'll have my administrative assistant call your administrative assistant. What's their number? And I just laugh and I'm like, I work for a nonprofit. We don't have administrative assistants. But you know, the whole idea of we don't have, there's a lot of constraints and people wear many different hats. And then sometimes it's really awesome to have a volunteer or that has a specific skill set. Young people, I have young professionals that I've been saying to them, you know, social media is not a skill set that a lot of nonprofits, but yet it is a great way to reach donors and things like that. So a young person that can help manage a social media platform for a nonprofit is a great way to give your talent back. And then there's a traditional board service. And if you haven't thought about sitting on a board or being part of it, it's really a great opportunity to serve. So if you are looking, have you never been asked, but you think about serving on a board, let me know. I would be glad to connect you with nonprofits who would love to have people willing to serve on boards. But, just really think about the skill sets that you have and what nonprofits may be in need of those. I know I have financial planners and accountants that are in there. The financial empowerment centers that are a great asset to our community and really an opportunity to help people that haven't had a lot of financial literacy to really change their world just by putting some simple financial management skills into their lives. But they really need people that can, volunteer their time and be a helper. And then the mentoring programs. We talk about how important our youth is in this area. So there's lots of ways that you have talents that you can give back to nonprofits. And ties. I think this is the one that has been so thought-provoking in my own life. So what do I mean when I talk about ties? Your network. Who's all in here? Our fellow Rotarians. What other places are you connected to people? Work, church, neighbors. So these are all really important things. And this is one that I talk to people a lot about as far as thinking about how you can use your ties. Remember, I talked about the fact that, we have such a low amount of people that are volunteering. And here, Wednesday nights, the food bank is a great, example. So we're here at Rotary, yes, we want Rotarians to be there, but I don't think, David, you have any problem with somebody bringing a friend along to volunteer as well. So sometimes the idea of volunteering or getting close to a nonprofit is just scary because people don't want to go by themselves. The first time that you show up to, volunteer for something, unless you've got a friend, sometimes that can be an impediment. It'll be something that stops people from coming and being part of that. So what are ways that you guys use your ties to tell people about a not-for-profit or to get people involved? Because you're all involved in the camp, at least, if not other things. What are ways that you've invited people? LinkedIn, that's a great one. How did you use it? You want? Yeah.
Hello. Last year when I started working with the ACE Center program, there were about 70 people following. And every time I made a connection, it's like a mentor or a company that we wanted to promote that they were funding us, I would connect with them and invite them to follow the page. So in the past year, we've grown to over 280 followers now. And at the last Rotary meeting I attended, it was in Kenmore. And the person speaking that day was talking about the work she was trying to do. And one of the schools that we serve, Kenmore High School, I asked the mentors there if they would be interested in volunteering to give, like, through the summer, we're not mentoring the students because they're out of school. But I thought it would be a nice team building to have the mentors for that school come back to the community and serve the students in a different way to lift them up.
That's awesome. And how much did that LinkedIn post cost you?
Nothing.
Yeah. All right. How else has anyone else, how have you guys leveraged friends, networks to help promote the idea of a nonprofit? I know you've done it.
So like working with a nonprofit, what we do and what we look to you guys to do is use your ties to help us find people to sit on like our fundraising committees. So like we'll go to someone we know and say, okay, what friends do you have that will ask us or make that ask for us because they have a better place in the community and a better standing that they can make the ask more easily.
Yeah, and it's a great ways, you know, some people, you know, the whole idea of time, you know, people are busy in that, but they'll make a phone call for you. Oh, Thane, you've got to have 10 examples because I know you do this so well. He's bringing the mic.
Yeah, the main thing I'll do, my dad does this too. There's a cause we're really passionate about. We'll just share it with our friends and ask them to join us. And sometimes we'll maybe like joke or berate them a little bit and donating, but it's all usually out of good. We have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome examples. Keep that mic out there, Dave.
Okay.
So I'm kind of interested, you know, when I do this and people start thinking and I see the gears start thinking in their head about, you know, everyone has the ability to be a philanthropist and simply by giving your 4 T's. So what is something, because we're all Rotarians here, what is something you're thinking about that some of us can help you do? What's a nonprofit that you're thinking about? Susan, you kind of talked about the dragon boat. What are things that you guys are thinking about that, you know, that you need people to give their time, treasure, talent, and ties? Because I think that's one of the things here at Rotary. If we speak it out loud, that people step up. We've heard it already, you know, people, Chili Open. Oh my gosh, the Chili Open is like the epitome of example of how people use their time, treasure, talent, and ties. So what's one of your T's that you haven't been using or one of the T's that you need some help thinking outside the box for?
So the one thing I didn't mention is that with the ACE Akron Canton, I actually started the organization about 5 years ago. So we're doing our first inaugural fundraiser this fall. It's gonna be a luncheon. We have Ren Camacho as our moderator, Sam Shazer as a speaker. And we have asks out to a few other people, somebody from SUMA, somebody from October Building, and one other. So that'll be that kind of thing. We're putting our time and our effort into planning this event September 13th, which is around ACE National Day of Action. So it's that kind of thing that, you know, I have a team of people over the past 5 years we've organized. We have 20 people on our board. We have over 50 mentor volunteers we've organized over the past 5 years to put their time and their efforts in and raise money for it.
So you started this journey. Did you ever think about the 4 T's cognizantly about for yourself and how you started that?
I didn't think of it in those relations, but I know that there's a lot of, you know, all 4 of those T's you put into starting something like this and growing it and maintaining it. And, you know, the reward comes with the students that we have going to college with scholarships we provided to them. So we had one student this year was able to get $25,000 in scholarship between us and our national organization. So to see the students, and we have students right now that are entering their junior year doing internships, summer internships, it's just been rewarding. So I didn't think about the 4 T's, but it's just part of what we do.
Awesome. Any other questions that people have? Things that I can help you guys with? I'm hoping Terry's like monitoring the outside because I can't look at that at the same time.
Just a quick question about administration. What sort of fee does the ACF charge to manage either a donor advised fund or a place for a foundation?
Right, that's Laura's job. I'm not sure I can get you that information. It's not a lot, but all of our services are free to our fund holders. But I will find out for you. Yeah. I should know those things. It's why I enjoy my side of the job, though. I don't have to do the sales part.
Karen, do you know approximately how many nonprofits that you guys work with?
We have about 210 endowments that represent about 170 nonprofits. And the endowment's kind of interesting because that's a way somebody can set up a treasure, use their treasure. We have endowments that have been set up by a nonprofit that their board voted, they had extra funds at some point and they wanted to have that a history. Some of them, maybe it's their building fund, so that they're there on a regular basis. And then there's people that have just set up an endowment for a nonprofit. They wanted to, the nonprofit was small. A lot of times they're minority-led nonprofits, and someone that had the means and loved the organization just set it up for them so it would be there for them. And interestingly enough, through COVID, we also managed the CARES Act dollars because we knew the nonprofits that were there. And of the endowments, we only had 2 that had to come to, because donors were so generous through COVID. I mean, anything, when anyone gets disheartened about the world that we live in, things like that, come talk to me, because I am amazed on a daily basis on the philanthropic people in our community.
Karen, thanks, that's great. How do you determine if somebody who comes in with an idea for a fund is more in line with ACF or the family center? And if they don't know anything about setting up a 501c3 applying, can you help somebody who just has an idea and money and says, hey, I want to do this? Can you provide that guidance?
Yeah, so 2 tracks. So my services are available to anyone that starts a donor advised fund. So really that's a conversation, and it can be, I'm young, I don't have any children yet. It may be 15 years before I decide I come to the center versus, people that we've been working with for multiple generations. So the center services are just there for people whenever. When Ukraine happened, I had some fund holders that I knew. So we, vetted nonprofits and said, if you want to make a difference, here's some suggestions we have. When George Floyd happened and people were, so when events happened, we just know that people are going to come to the center and go, hey, what are some suggestions you have? For the nonprofit side, so Brian Wrights is on our staff, and he is explicitly works for the nonprofits in our community, whether they have an endowment with us or not. So the same thing that I'm doing for funders, he's doing for nonprofits. So like right now, we're doing a financial management service series with PNC for any nonprofit that needs that, that education. So we're really about the health of those. But when people come, and we get the calls all the time, and sadly, especially when someone loses a child to something, we often get the call, hey, I really want to do this. Our first thing is that we know the nonprofits, and we encourage people to consider binding together and offering. So we'll have somebody that has a special fund within the fund of, so if it's mental health, community sports services has a fund, an endowment within the organization. And there are people that have lost children that have special funds within that. So it's all part of the endowment. So it's one way without starting a nonprofit that people can do that. But then there's sometimes that there is just a need. So Grace House will be opening in the next week or so. And she was here to talk to us about that. But, they were at the table with us and we were talking it through, and yes, there was no one else meeting that need. So we have a system that we go through with nonprofits and people that are willing to, or want to start a nonprofit to say, these are the things you need to have in place to be successful, and make sure that it's not something somebody else is doing that you can't combine with another nonprofit. So that's what I meant about the Akron Community Foundation. That was the thing that surprised me. We're really about the health of the nonprofit community in general. So it's not just about us.
Karen, can you tell us, I hope I didn't miss this in the presentation, but how much does it take to open a donor advised fund?
It is $5,000, but what we have recognized by talking to people in the community. So I do a program under education called the Institute for Emerging Philanthropists. So they're young people, but we actually, when I came along, I've worked in older adult services, we got rid of the age requirement. So it's along for anyone that's interested in being a more effective philanthropist. But sometimes they don't have the ability. So we are just getting ready to launch something called an Acorn Fund. So someone can start a fund and just do a monthly pledge for 3 years, and they can fund that over because we think it's really important. One of the things we talk about is to all of our fund holders, we have co-investment. So we put it out there. Sometimes people don't know what they want to give to. So benefit is that you see all the grants that come into us and all the needs in the community, and you can pick and choose what you want to if you're not ready to make an investment in a certain sector and things like that. So accessibility is really important to us. So.
Question is, do you have competitors?
Yeah. No, I think that we're more collaborators. So, a community foundation, if someone wants a transactional, they just want to give their dollars and it's for financial reasons, there's commercial products out there. There's Fidelity, there's Schwab, there's all of those. If someone wants to be connected to a certain community, so there's a Hudson Community Foundation, there's an Akron Community Foundation. We serve Summit and Medina County, but it's more about the health of those two communities. So we're the right person for you if you're interested in the health and well-being of that particular geographic area. So.
Very good. Well,
Okay.
that, Steve asked me to close the meeting.
All right.
Get your raffle tickets out.
All right. Susan, there's 2 red tickets right by me. They were Malcolm's. He left them here. So you can look at that number, but it's 228316.
8316.
Oh, Malcolm's. All right. Malcolm won. I will tell him.
Well,
Oh, you guys won. All right. Yay. Yay. Yeah.
Pick a card, you're looking for the joker. Very hard. So you didn't win, but you keep the card.
So Steve left. Can I hit the bell?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Just wait a minute. I got one announcement. Steve left, he had to run to the doctor, apologize for that. He wanted me to announce that we have End Polio and Out Game Guardians on Wednesday, July 13th. And tickets are between $25 in the upper box, as high as then down the tiers up to $75. So if you're interested, I know Stu Buchanan, I think is still involved with that, but reach out to me and I'd be more happy to connect. Excuse me. With that, we can ring the bell. End the meeting. Yeah, there you go. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.